We're joined by Drew today. Now, you've been at a couple of the Wonder Promotions events as an official. You also do a lot of official work. You've now moved into the pros for just this last year. How are you finding everything?
Yeah, finding everything good. There's no dramas. The transition into the pros is not too bad. But everything's going pretty good.
I remember you talking to you on the last Wonder Promotions card, and you love being around there. Like, I see your face at every event. You're so happy to be around the amateurs and the pro scene. Is there anything that you see with the amateurs that gets you excited?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of amateurs at the moment. They're good amateurs coming through, and the amateurs with us, with Boxing Australia, New South Wales, they've got a bit of talent, and obviously it's a nurturing ground to move into the pros, and some of the ones that you see now will be good pros, moving forward.
Yeah, they've all got like bright futures, and Ricky, your biggest thing is working with grassroots boxing to try and build that up, and we've had a couple of people like Tyrell Adams who have come from the amateurs to the pros with us, and we love it, and we love having the officials on board as well.
Yeah, I've known Drew for a long time now. He does amazing work with with Boxing New South Wales, running the amateurs, and seeing that and being around that whole environment. It is what he said. It's a breeding ground for the future of professionals. And I love it because he'll be in pole position, seeing what guys are actually going to do something with their careers. I always look, even now being as a promoter, I look at guys and think, okay, which guy is actually going to be something. And you could probably guys would talk amongst the officials and actually say, all right, this guy is something special.
Yeah, definitely. Some of the amateurs that are really coming through at the moment are really good. And you can see the potential. You can see what they're going to do in the future, and you can see that they're going to transition over to the pros when it's their time to move forward.
Yeah, nice. Of recent years, who has been this couple of standouts? Just a couple of names in your mind.
Oh, look, in my mind, ever since I've started refereeing, you look at your Liam Wilson, your Jai Opataya, your Justice Hooney, Sam Goodman, and all those guys. They've all boxed with us. I've refereed them all in the amateurs, and now you can see them doing so well in the pros.
So how important do you think that sort of grassroots function is in terms of building up the world champions of tomorrow?
Oh, it's definitely it's super important to get the experience in the amateurs. In the amateurs, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose when it comes to your local tournaments. It's about getting the experience. It's about becoming a better boxer. It's about learning your craft, and in the amateurs to use that into your pros.
So we were just talking about Jai Opataya. He's got a good exciting matchup for June 8. Who's your prediction for that? Do you think he comes out on top there?
Oh, of course, Jai comes out on top. Jai will knock him out. That's just Jai. It's just the way he is. You see on social media, Jai wants those unification bouts. He wants all the belts. Don't know why they're not giving it to him. Probably because they're scared of him or whatever it might be. But he wants all the belts, and Jai will win, and I think he'll win easy.
I know that you've only been in the pro scene for a year, but is there anything you've seen so far that you'd like to improve on as an official?
Oh, as an official, you'd like to, try and get everybody up to the same standard. The hard thing here in New South Wales is there's no way that they don't train people here in New South Wales in the pros. You don't get any training, any advice. There's no succession planning here in New South Wales. You've got to go elsewhere to get the experience, and then come to New South Wales and they'll use you as a pro official.
Wow. And is there any goal for you with the pro official? Is there a world title fight that you want to be the official for? Is there anything that you've been chasing with it?
Oh, I just want to improve in the pros. I want to become better in the pros, get more experience, and the ultimate goal is the same as a boxer. You want to officiate at a world title fight, and that's what I want to do in the pros.
And telling us a bit about yourself as well. You've come from a mixed martial arts background.
Yep.
Where did you start off?
I started off when I was working at a club back when I was 18 years old, and they had a classes going on there, and
Yep.
I decided to join, and did a few years of mixed martial arts and stuff like that.
Wow, and
Back in the 80s and 90s.
before my time. Oh yeah, nice. And would you ever go back to that? Would you ever be official for mixed martial arts?
No. Boxing is what I'm here for. Boxing is the go, and I've spent 15 years now in the amateurs, being an official, and boxing is
How'd
what
you
I'm going to say.
actually get into doing the boxing officiating?
I started with the boxing. I put my son into boxing when he was 10
Yeah.
to toughen him up for football,
Yeah.
because he played for St Mary's back in the day. So we started him in boxing to toughen him up for footy,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
be a bit harder for footy. And
Yeah.
as I started going to tournaments, where he started boxing down in the ACT, being only 10 years old, 11 years old, we can't box in New South Wales till they're 14. And as I went to tournaments with the club and other boys were boxing, I just asked, hey, do you want to be an official? Do you want to judge and learn? And thought, no, I'll be no good at this, and kind of knocked it back for a couple. And then I said, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. And then I started judging, and then not long after that, they said, oh, do you want to hop in the ring and be a referee? I thought, oh, I'll never be able to do that. And then next thing you know, I'm refereeing and judging, and 15 years has gone past.
So how many fights do you reckon in total you've officiated?
It's got to be in the tens of thousands.
Yeah, wow.
Now, being judging and refereeing.
Is there any
Wow.
fight that ever stands out in your mind as the best fight you've ever seen?
I think the best fight I've ever refereed is I was in Bulgaria, refereeing in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Boxing Australia sent me over there, and it was, I think, of 67 kilo boys, and one was the world champion, one was the current Olympic champion.
Oh wow!
And I refereed this fight, and these boys were hitting each other so hard, and their heads weren't moving. And I thought, if one of these punches hits me, I'm in a bit of trouble. And I was just in awe of watching these two fellas.
It's different level.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
It's world class level. It was really good. Yeah.
And how big do you reckon the difference is between, like, say, domestic amateur boxing and then when you go to those big tournaments like you've been?
It's massively different.
Yeah.
The classes, they're world class over there.
Yeah.
The advantage with those Europeans is they can drive 2 hours and go through 2 countries and fight all the time, and they can fight weekly and
Because even when I was back fighting amateur, right, like if you had even close to 50 fights, that was huge for an Aussie fighter. And then you're fighting these other European guys and that have 200, 300 amateur fights. How do you even compete with that sort of experience?
you can't. It's very hard. As an Australian, I think you've got to travel. You've got to go interstate. You've got to fight the best in Queensland. You've got to fight the best in Victoria, and get that experience fighting all these boys, and hopefully make the Australian team or whatever you make, and have that pathway to go overseas, and then compete with the best, because you're not going to be able to become the best unless you compete with them.
Oh, for sure. So what advice would you give to the young amateur boys in the scene now that want to make a career out of boxing?
Just train hard, keep your head up. Don't worry about the decision or what happens. There's always going to be close bouts where you think you've won but you've lost, or you think you've lost and you won. It's all about the experience. Grab as much experience as you can. Spar as much as you can in other gyms against other people.
100%.
And don't let the decisions get to you, be it a good decision or a bad decision or whatever it might be. Grab the experience with both hands.
Yeah.
Become a better person and a better boxer.
Yeah, love it. That's good. Awesome.
And tell me, you recently overcame cancer.
Yes.
Now, congratulations as well.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what cancer it was and how hard it was to overcome that?
It was bowel cancer.
Yeah, wow.
The tumour in my bowel was as big as a small apple.
Wow.
Didn't know it was there. Bowel cancer, they do say, is a silent killer.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. I was having symptoms of being lethargic,
Wow.
having no energy. I mow lawns for a living. I had my own lawn mowing business, and I'd push the lawnmower one strip and I'd be out of breath. And I noticed it happening over maybe 6 months, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And being a male, I just never did anything about it, as the majority of males do. And it got to the stage where I was that out of breath. I thought I was having a heart attack. It was really tight in my chest. And I said to my son, who mows lawns with me, I said, mate, I've got to go to hospital.
Wow.
So we finished mowing that lawn off. I packed up, went home, had a shower, scooted into hospital, had a check. They checked my heart. My heart was all good. But then when they took blood test, my iron level was at 1, so I had no iron.
Wow.
And then they did a blood test, and there was no oxygen in my body, because iron is what carries the oxygen around in your red blood cells.
Yeah.
So because I had no iron, there was no oxygen going to any part of my body. So I had an iron infusion. They gave me about half a litre of iron, and then they booked me in for the colonoscopy and down the throat as well. And when I did that, that's when they found the cancer.
Wow.
So then 4 weeks later, I'm in surgery. So they cut out 30 centimetres of bowel and sewed me back together. And then they took some nodes out, and some of the nodes had cancer in them.
Shit.
Wow.
So because the nodes had cancer, then I hopped on a intensive chemotherapy session. And the chemotherapy was kind of a precaution, because the cancer hadn't reached anywhere yet or settled into anywhere else in my body. They just said, have the chemo. There's 40% chance the cancer will come back if I don't have chemo.
Wow.
20% chance the cancer will come back if I do have chemo.
Yeah, wow.
So I thought...
Do you have to do regular checkups to make sure it doesn't come back as well?
Yeah, I just got to have checkups every 6 months and stuff like that.
I don't forget when you rocked up to a few of the shows, and he'd be doing chemo, I think it was the day of or the day before, and he's still rocking up to the show doing all the officiating and that.
I rocked up to your show 3 days out of major stomach surgery.
That's right.
At Bella Vista.
Mate, I was in shock to see him.
soldier.
I was in shock to see him. I'm like, man, fuck, I just saw the thing on Facebook, and then I'm like, and now I'm seeing you there.
What am I going to do? Sit home and do nothing? Feel sorry for myself? Or I can come to boxing and watch some of the best boxers at your show, box on, punch on, mate. So
It's crazy. Yeah, and you know what? A lot of the amateurs, they don't see, you know, the other sides to you and stuff, and they don't see that you're sitting there struggling, whatever, but you're still happy to watch them in the ring. I think that's amazing.
Commitment to the game. That's what it is.
Yeah.
it's because I love it.
Yeah.
You know I got into it because of my son, but I love doing what I do. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, mate. Like the
It's pretty easy.
the amount of commitment that you have, because every show that I see, you guys are at it every week, you know, and that's dedication. I was actually thinking of when driving here in the car, and I was thinking from an official's perspective, and I was thinking, mate, like week in, week out, the passion you must have for the sport, and even to see it through when you don't want to be there, fuck, it's a lot of dedication.
Yeah, it's good. Like I said, I enjoy it. You know, we don't get paid too much money to. It's petrol money and toll money and whatever it might be, and a little bit on the side. But you know, it's not a full-time job.
Yeah, of course.
We do it because we love it.
How do you become the president of the Boxing New South Wales, like in terms of the officials?
Just experience, you know. I think there's been other people that have obviously, you know, I've been under as we moved on, and then they've moved on. It's just a progression.
Okay.
I think it's just I've been here the longest, and can go to the shows and stuff like that with my work. So
Yeah, nice. How do you find New South Wales boxing compares to other states at the moment?
I think we're pretty up there, as in referee side of things.
I know in terms of the whole level.
Oh, the whole level. Look, I think New South Wales is on par with the likes of the other states. The only, like I said, disadvantage we have here in New South Wales is we can't start boxing till we're 14. So you go to every other state, and all those other people have had another 20 or 30 fights under their belts even before we start.
How does one go about changing sort of that? How did that come about, the 14-year-old limit?
It's always been here in New South Wales, just a government rule. You know, we have to rally the government and try and get it changed. I have spoken to Combat Sports about it, be it Angus, and you know, he said he's happy for them to fight at under 14 because Combat Sports are there and they have their rules and they look after the young fellas at the same time, and they know that our young fellas under 14 travel interstate to get the experience anyway, so why not have it in our own backyard?
That's right.
And be able to look after them and then nurture them, you know, coming up.
And so is that a combat sports level conversation, or what is that?
No, it's a government conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, Combat Sports is just an authority that runs the combat sports when it comes to the laws. it's you moving up into the sports minister.
And how long has that that's been there since how long?
Forever. So ever since I've been in the game.
Yeah. Well,
so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But ever since I've been in the game, it's been the same.
So what are your thoughts? It's a question I want to ask. Obviously, you've got the league and the ABA.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that division, and how does that affect the sport in New South Wales?
I think the league has its place in New South Wales, just as we have our place in New South Wales. You know, with us, we have our state titles, we go to national titles, we go to Worlds, Olympics, Commonwealth Games, and that's our pathway, you know, with Boxing New South Wales.
Yep.
And the league have their place as well. I think the league are a bit more liberal in the way they fight. They let it go a little bit longer than we do, more like a professional side of things.
Yep.
And if that's what people want, you know, they can be with the league. If you want a pathway and get the better experience or whatever it might be, then that's through us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And do you ever see that the two coming together again or not?
No, never.
Never.
No.
Two separate.
It's two separate. The league have theirs, and they do it their way.
Yeah.
And we do it our way.
Yeah, it's funny.
So
Yeah.
I didn't even notice, like, because when I first started boxing, I didn't realise. And I went to a fight night and they had, like, some of the girls were wearing different coloured outfits and stuff, and, like, their walkouts were crazy. And I was like, what's this? And they're like, this is the league, and you're in ABA. And I was like, what's the difference? And they're like, well, this is the pathway to, you know, the Olympics, and this is the pathway to professionals. Like, you both go to professionals, but the league is a lot more professional based. And I mean, there's benefits for both. I mean, we have great boxers that come from both. We've had boxers from our cards that have come from both, and, you know, it's how it all goes around.
I always think that, like, don't get me wrong, there's good fighters that come out of the league, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the guys that really reach that top level, they come from the ABA.
100%, they come from the ABA.
Opataya, Goodman, all guys like that, they're all from the ABA. They've come up through it. I don't know too many league guys at that top world level.
No, it's because in the ABA they get the better experience as an amateur.
Yeah.
They go to states, they go to Aussies, and we're talking about Aussie titles being from every state in New South Wales.
Yeah.
The league have an Aussie titles that's in two states or whatever it might be, because the league's not, I don't think the league's in every state.
Yeah, sure.
And anyway, and then the people that win the Aussie titles go to Worlds.
Yeah.
And they get the experience fighting those world level guys where in the league they don't.
Yeah, of course.
It's definitely the one thing. Look, I would never leave ABA in the sense of I like the clean fight. It's a lot more neater. There's a lot more rules, and it makes you into a better fighter. But my biggest thing is changing the age from starting from 14, only because there's kids in New South Wales that are already sparring in the gym before 14. So there's no difference. Just let them compete earlier than 14, and a lot of them can't afford to go interstate. It's quite expensive for their parents to, you know, pick them up and take them there. Half the parents, it's hard to convince them anyway to let them fight.
Yeah.
So I think that's one area of New South Wales sport I'd like to see change. Other than that, I do see us heading in the right direction, and we are becoming a bit more at the world stage compared to other countries.
Yeah, well, we're moving on now, as you said, with these boxers that we have coming through here in Australia and making their presence known on the world stage. Like I said, being Jai, Justice Hooney, who's just about to fight for a heavyweight world title.
That's pretty cool.
Shortly, you've got your Tim Zhu, your Nikita Zhu, your George Kambosos. All these guys have come through us, and they've made their name, you know, throughout the world. So yeah, we have good people right now, right there on the world stage, and we have good people coming up the ranks as well.
It's funny, even when I was fighting amateur when I was younger, I was still very green at this stage, but went down into the AIS in the ABA camp, and I was George Kambosos was in my room. Then they had the Maloney brothers in the camp, Damien Hooper, really good, really solid fighters. And I look at all those guys that came up through that ranks. I'm like, man, it's so funny to see where everyone started and just that development, and it's all been through the ABA and through acquiring like those 80, 90 fights.
Yep.
That really put them on that sort of world stage, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good. We're seeing how the sport's shaping out, and, you know, officials, we have to work with you guys and appreciate you guys for being there, because I'm telling you now, I've been at Ricky's shows from 12 o'clock in the middle of the day all the way through to the end, and I'm like, no one talks to me by the end. So I don't know how you guys sit there for all those fights and really, you know, ref and officiate. It's very hard.
It does. Well, it gets hard as obviously as the day goes on.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the ring and you're concentrating and you're counting punches and you're trying to figure out who it is, and as the day goes on and you get to that 15, 16 fights, 17 fights, and you've been sitting there and the mind does start to wander and it does start to get hard.
What is the main sort of, like, when you're a judging a fight, what are the main things you look for in the dominant fighter?
You're looking to judge a fight. You're looking at the person that lands the quality punches to the scoring part of the body. So, as if it's a scoring shot, and red scores 5 and blue scores 4, or red wins that round.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if blue is the forward puncher. He's throwing 200 punches and they've all landed on the gloves.
Yeah.
And the crowd's going off because he's so fantastic and he's throwing all these punches and he looks really good. But the red corner scored more scoring shots. So he's throwing 100 punches, he's throwing 20 punches, and red ends up winning.
Yeah.
That's just the way you score it.
Do you count that in your head, or do you have like a paper that you make a mark, or what do you do?
Well, we're meant to watch a fight and we're meant to count it in our heads. So I have my own way of counting the punches and making sure that I get it right. And it seems to work. As I said, when I went over to Bulgaria, I think I judged 87 fights in the 5 days I was there, and I got 2 wrong in the 87. And I thought I got them right.
Yeah.
Because every good judge will say, nah, I got it right, you got it wrong. But
everyone's human.
But everybody's, you just got to count them. And the one that has the most at the end, if they're even at the end, then you're looking for the dominant person, the person that's moving forward, the person that has better ring craft, person that has maybe the stronger shots when they're doing exchanges. So it's a little bit different.
Man, I'll never forget when I was fighting amateur, because they had their point scoring where they would have the buzzers.
Yes.
And so they had the 4 guys that had to press the buzzer within 1 second to score the point.
Yep.
And because some of the judges were older, their reaction timing was slower. And so
it didn't get counted.
It didn't get counted. Man, I had one fight, I kicked the guy's ass, like I won easily in his hometown in Canberra.
Yeah.
And then at the end, because I got 2 points deducted, I got a point, and then so he won by a split decision. And the whole crowd didn't even cheer for him because he clearly lost. And then even my dad's never one to complain. He just got up and goes, "That's bullshit." But then after we spoke to the guys that were reffing, and they, to their credit, the guy come out and gave me advice about sparring and stuff like that, about scoring shots. And all it was that you have to land the cleanest punch possible, and you always have to be first and last to throw. Or land, sorry, because that's what they look for. Because I'll do combinations, but then you get clipped on the way out, and that's the punch that sort of scores.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's different the way that, because there's been fights, my second fight, I was like, I won that. I got ripped off, I won that. And then I looked back at the footage, I was like, oh my God, that was how embarrassing. I thought I won that. Like, you don't realise when you're in the ring, there's so much emotion, you think that you're winning a fight. Yep. But you're actually not scoring
It's very
anything.
subjective.
It's super weird. Like,
well, it's the same with the coaches. The coaches are really only concentrating on their boxer and how many punches their boxer's throwing. They're not concentrating on the other boxer and how many punches he's throwing and landing on your boxer. So even the coaches just think, I've won that, and you go, no, mate, you haven't. You've lost.
Yeah. How do you deal with that in terms of, like, when people, because you would get it a little bit where coaches come up a little bit upset that their fighters lost, a lot of emotion.
Yep.
How do you deal with that sort of stuff?
I just tell them to go away. I don't care.
I don't know how you do it. I just cry. I'm like,
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah. If they want to come and speak to me, they come and speak to me after the fight.
Yeah.
Don't come and speak after the fight night.
Yeah.
Don't come and speak to me while I'm working.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. I don't care. That's the decision. Live with it.
Yeah.
As I say, learn from it. And deal with it. But in a close fight, one's going to win, one's going to lose, and it's going to be close.
Yeah.
And with scoring, the judges can only score what they see.
100%.
So if you're boxing and the referee's in the road and they've hit that red boxer 2 or 3 times and you don't see those punches, you can't count those punches.
Yeah, of course.
And if it's only 1 or 2 punches that determine that round, then you're going to go the other way.
Yeah.
And if the boxer's back is towards you, and you see the boxer's head rock back and throw a punch, did the head rock back because he got punched, or did it rock back because he was dodging the punch?
Yeah, of course.
If we don't see the punch land, we don't score. And in a close fight, that could be the difference between going red or going blue.
Yeah. Well, the 4 judges see 4 different fights because they're at a different angle. You know what I mean?
3 judges. So we have 3 judges when we have our local shows,
Yeah.
and at national shows and state trials we have 5.
Oh, wow.
Right, but you're looking at 2 judges see one
right,
way,
yeah.
and another judge seeing the other way.
exactly right.
So you would hope the 2 judges that are opposite each other see the same fight.
Yeah.
Depends on the referee, where the referee is.
Of course.
And you'd hope, and the other judge. And that's why you can have split decisions.
Yeah.
So for my state titles, I had a girl put a count on me, and I was like, instantly, I've lost this fight. But then I looked at the scores, it was a split decision. I was like, oh, that actually didn't make much of a difference. Like, they're just giving you a break.
Doesn't make anything.
No, I lost. Clearly. But it was one of the biggest mistakes, and now in my head I'm like, all right, if I get a count on me, it just means I have to go harder. It doesn't mean I'm losing the fight. But instantly, as a fighter, you think I'm losing.
Yeah.
Because you don't really understand the scoring and behind the scoring. So I think having you here today is a good idea for amateurs to be like, this is how scoring actually works. Because we don't really get taught that when we start boxing.
No, well, your coach should know that. You know, coaches should know the scoring, and it's up to the coach to educate their boxers and educate on what they need to do to win.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the coach's job. If the coaches doesn't know the scoring, then their boxers, I think, on the back foot anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Well, mate, I just want to say thank you for all the efforts that you put into not only Wanderer Promotions and being an official there, but through all Boxing New South Wales. I truly think that you guys are unsung heroes in the industry. Like, their work goes unnoticed, really, and we really appreciate it, seeing it from the other side and how much effort you put into.
Yeah, so good. Well, thank you for having us. Thank you for having us here today.
worries.
And can I say, if anybody wants to become an official, please let me know. I'm training them all the time. We need good people.
Beautiful.
We're short of officials, and we always need more. So if anybody's keen, just contact Boxing New South Wales, and they'll get onto me, and we can start training you up.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you very much, Drew. Thank
you
you.
very much, Ta.